Okay, hi, this is SportsReplays. So this is my team. So I've got Dacos, kept him in my side, I think 131. Look, he's going to be a phenomenal player. I don't want to make the same mistake I did last year. Look, I mean, there may be a bit of concerns with the cramp that he had in the previous game, and a few other teams may be a bit more aware of him this year, like Hawthorn, for example. But look, yeah, the consequences of going without him, far outweigh if he does go, if the negatives. If he goes off, I don't have him. I'm behind the eight ball, and I made that mistake last year. On to Sheasel. Yeah, look, stuck with him, and look, I reckon he's going to increase in value, in price, and there's no one else around that price point who I want or interested in, and that's the main reason why I picked him. I think Sicily is too, and Stewart a bit. I don't know. There's just something goes wrong with either Stewart or Sissy. They either get suspended or injured, or something happens, and I don't want to take that risk. Haddon Young, 525,100. Look, solid young player. He's moved into midfield role, and he should increase his scoring capacity and potential. Zach Williams, 73. Look, was played really well for the first three quarters. Didn't do much in the last quarter. I'm guessing because they were trying to rest him. So hopefully he's got a bit more match fitness now and he'll perform for us over the coming weeks. I guess there's always that injury cloud or the concern. Okay, Zachary, 123,900. Look, he had a good pre-season. Happy with him. So, look, definitely picking him my side. And he seems to be a bit more job security and a bit more potential scoring compared to some of the other players around the price point. Howes, 123,900. Yeah, look, phenomenal score for a player of his price. And since Bowery's got injured too, I reckon he's, almost not saying must have, but you want that cash generation early on, and he's your guy in defence. And then you got Gibkes, who's played for a couple of seasons now, had a poor season last year, got injured. And 76 is all right. So he's going to make us some money and provide some extra cover when Williams, Howes, or Dacos have the early bye. One of those weeks, believe it or not, he has played a game as well, so he's owned by as well, but we'll worry about it then. And I've also got Caulfield in, which I brought him in over Ambrosio just simply because it was cheaper, and Ambrosio, even though he probably has better job security, I see that extra money to make another change in the side. And on to the midfielder, Bontempelli. Look, I'm not really going to explain the reason why I picked him. I think we all know why. He's probably the best player in the comp. And if he's got a West Coast early on, so it's going to be hard to bring him in at a cheaper price if he does go bananas. At the very least, you probably get like 120, 130 from that game, depending if it's an even mixed. And that's a concern. He could go off, and he did well in the pre-season as well. He might even win the Brownlow this season. Surprised he's not favourite. On to Dawson, 647,600. I mean, look, I swapped him over Parrish in the end. I brought him back in because I thought Parrish is injured for, I think, at least 1 week, 2 weeks. And you can't have a player at that price point, injured for that long. Particularly at the start when you can just change it. Look, we'll bring in Dawson. Parrish might have to come in later in the year. Also Green, 132, performed well against Collingwood. Look, he may have a ball against North Melbourne. He may absolutely dominate, and it's just too much of a risk not having him. Had a phenomenal season last year. Bringing him in again. Milana at 16 did all right against Richmond. There's a bit of an even spread with Gold Coast. The reason why I picked him over Rao is simply because he's probably a bit more of a complete player with the inside and outside game. Rao though does seem a bit more tempting. I think Miller's slightly cheaper. Either pick, I reckon, would be fine. I just think Miller can get more points in other areas. I reckon they're both for fine picks, but they both do have that extra buy, which is probably a concern with both of these picks. But I do think Miller's slightly undervalued. On to Nick Martin, yeah. So I brought Nick Martin in and swapped him for, I think, Colby McKechnie. Can't pronounce it correctly, but I've swapped him in simply because we'll have more on-field scoring early on in the rounds, and I just had a bit of extra money left over, and I thought, oh, Colby McKechnie is still 200k for a rookie price point. That's way too expensive. Well, it's expensive, and you just don't know in North Melbourne. It's hard to predict. And look, Colin McKernan could be, a good player this season and generate a lot of cash. But there's always that feeling it could go wrong. I just think, if Martin's playing more defence and does get that defensive role, that can be a premium defence and just saves an extra trade later on for that. Even though potentially I could probably get more of a cash cow from McColby McKernan. I pronounced that wrong. And plus, that's why I've done that trade with, got rid of Ambrosia for Caulfield, just to add that extra cash to make this happen. And essentially got 5 premium midfielders. One that will, Martin can then turn that premium defender, and then I'll have 4 or potentially 5 defenders already, and that's almost a backline done without doing too much at all. So that's why I've done that. And on to Riley Bonner, which is probably the biggest pot I have in this side. Now, I want to do something a bit different. Sinclair is injured, so when Sinclair comes back in, that might impact scoring. But for the time being, all I can really need is just a couple of good weeks of Riley Bonner scoring. And if you can get up to 400k, 450, then that's a win with that trade, and I can use that money to bring in a premium player. And they'll already basically have that, covered in that price cash. Plus he's going to be in this side as well. It is a bit risky, and he doesn't have that good, that long scoring history. But potentially, maybe he could, have a new standing at St Kilda, and that could hopefully, he'll have massive improvement at St Kilda and make that stand. Like some of the other some players have turned there, like with Jordan Dawson last year, moved to Adelaide, got a better role, and he improved his scoring straight away. Hopefully that's the case with Bonner. Sanders performed phenomenally well in pre-season, and almost, I wouldn't say lock, but a player you need to have on-field rookie, and Sam Roberts as well. Not necessarily rookie because he played last season, but he scored 76 on the weekend, did all right, and had a good pre-season. I think he had one good game as well last year, but then got injured, and it sort of stuffed up his season. So that's why I've picked him. I reckon he's undervalued. He has had some evidence of scoring well, and he did that well against, and arguably the best midfield for the last couple of seasons against Melbourne. Now, onto the bench here, which I haven't done my emergency for this round. I'm not too sure who should I do here. I'll probably just go with Wilson, more likely to score. But yeah, so Wilson, he performed well in the pre-season. He's going to be selected round 1. So he's in my side. Plus he has that forward status too. So I can feel around with some of these other players who do have that buy. I believe Jordan does have a buy earlier on. Sam Flanner, so I can just swap him from there, which is the reason why I've done that move. Ideally, I would probably prefer him in the forward line, and I can swap around with the bench option here. But I'm not too worried about it. I think, having this structure in place, even if I do miss out on a 50-40 points earlier on with a loophole score, it might be, I just want that extra security there. And I think he's got decent job security now. Then again, he maybe have a couple bad games and he could be back into the VFL. But look, he should generate us cash. Jai Clark, 123,900 again. Performed well in the pre-season. One of Geelong's better up-and-coming young players. He's going to have to bit of fill the gaps of some of the older players now. I think Guthrie's injured as well, so that'd be good for Clark. And hopefully, he keeps his role. It's probably a little bit, or he's spot in the side. Probably the only really concern The job security is the major concern with that pick with Clark. And on to Manahan. Now, this is probably the player I don't really want my side. And I've already got 2 other Geelong players in my side. So, look, he's there just in case he goes off. Um, got the best player in the VFL Grand Final despite losing. I think he didn't perform particularly well in the pre-season. But he does have that midfield forward status. And look, it's only one game. And I want to take the gamble on it. I mean, if he performs poorly, I'll just get him for another rookie, even though I've only got 20,000 left in the bank. Ideally, I'd rather Hurstwaite and McCormick, McCracken, probably pronounced that wrong, but they're a bit more expensive, and it just doesn't fit the structure that I'm trying to build. But if either of those two go off, I might have to trade in and probably make a few other trades depending how we go. If there's any round one drama with injuries or players not performing as well as what they expected. On to the rucks. Now this is a bit more of a interesting dilemma between Gawn and Grundy. Gawn did better in the first half, but Grundy did a lot better in the second half. I think a few people have gone off Gawn, which I can understand why, but he played terrible in that second half, and it's probably one of the reasons why Melbourne stopped going. And Grundy went from like really poor score at halftime to scoring over 100 points in the second half. It's one of the reasons why Sydney won, or helped Sydney get along over the line. I'm not going to get concerned with Gawn. We all know how high scoring he can go. He's one of the highest potential scoring players in the game. He could bang out, a 200. Don't think he's going to do it against English, but he has decent scoring against English. But yeah, that's what I'm concerned if I don't have Gawn, and that's what I'm worried about. And that's what I'm going to be missing. And I don't want to jump off the boat to English, who's more expensive, and things can go wrong there as well. I think he's still better off with Gawn and Grundy as a safe options. The only concern with either of those two, they both do have that extra buy. And what I'm going to do here, we've got Livingston and Jackson there. The issue is here as well is that Naismith, who did actually perform well, might not get selected from round one. So I do have Livingston there. And if Naismith is selected, I think the Kermis is coming back. The problem that might impact his scoring as well. If I don't have the money, which I don't think I do, I'll just have to leave it as it is. But I still do have Jackson there in the forward line here, which is another reason why I've got to hold on to Jackson. So I can loophole him during the buys, or if something goes wrong here, I can loophole him there, swap Livingston there, dump him on the bench, and then put Grundy or Gawn there. And it's just another loophole option too. So if Gawn or Grundy, potentially, or maybe not against Collingwood, but if Gawn plays like West Coast or North Melbourne or something like that, you can probably potentially put the vice captain on him, and he can go bananas that match. You can get like a 150 score as a captain, as a VC, and you can. So that's another way of the reason why I've done that as well. It's a bit of a gamble with that too. I've seen a few other people have done it, and I thought it just helps me bring in some of the other players like Nick Martin, who break the structure set out. It's a bit of a huge gamble that I'd rather have cash generating ruckman, which is better later on. So I'm gonna have that extra cash later on, and we need it. But we'll have to wait and see if Naismith is selected. It's a bit frustrating because he's probably too good to be in the VFL, in my opinion. And so we've got Flanders as well. Hold on to him, 124. Yeah, so another Gold Coast player performed well. I think Richmond League, a lot of Supercoach points. So if you are playing Richmond, it'd be a good idea to maybe potentially vice captain or captain one of the players you do have against them. Depends who you have. So do consider a lot of Supercoach points. Quite a lot of players who went over 100. You had Rao did well. You had, I think, even Powell did all right. You had Flanders. You had Miller, who all scored over 100. So they did concede quite a fair bit there. The midfield got smashed, Richmond. And I think the role is there with Flanders now. He had a crap start last season because I started him and it was ended up being a failed pick, but then came good where it didn't matter anymore. And it's frustrating with those picks. You want players like that starting off well. But now he's in the right role. He's going to be one of our, you know, probably keeper forwards now if he continues this. I don't think a 124 every week, but we can average 100, 105. That'd be enough for a four-line player. And then Fisher, everyone's just jump on him after getting that 125. I guess that's the thing with social media. And everyone these days they just hop on the bandwagon and just jump on it without their own proper thinking. I can see why, because if he goes off and you're missing out on a potential keeper, or at least getting another 100k plus, at least he'll be missing out on a cash cow of 100k or 150,000, and he's probably going to be a keeper, or at least F5 or F6 at bare minimum. James Jordan, 81, okay. Didn't have a particularly good start, but did alright in the last 3 quarters of the game. 81's good enough, in my opinion, for a start-up anyway. If he averaged 81, 80, around an average of 80, he should go up to like 450, which was what I'm hoping, and that'd be enough. Cash generation, and then I can move on to a primo or downgrade to a rookie, whatever the situation is at that time. He's in for me, and I think a lot of other people on the bandwagon too, which I can see why. He had a good preseason as well. The thing is, I don't want to have another player who had that buy, so I'm gonna have that extra buy, so I'm gonna have to worry about that later on. Reed, look, played well in the previous practice match, and he's probably going to average 80, and he's still going to generate cash. And he's also a forward midfielder, so he's still a valuable selection. Don't think you're going to make as much money compared to some other rookies in the past, like a Sheasel last year. But you're still going to get that 200k, and look, I think he's the most selected player, him or Dacos. So you're going to have to, if you don't pick him, it's like, what are you doing? So look, Reed, maybe a bit of concern with some games he might not, maybe the inconsistency. That's the major concern, that he should go up in price by a fair amount. And Sexton, 73, which is okay for that, great for that price point. It was average for Gold Coast last game. Gold Coast did pretty well. So, I mean, I believe he's playing a more defensive role, and then you got Richmond's midfield got smashed. The ball wasn't quite in the defensive spotlight as probably would average. So he potentially could score more than that. He had a phenomenal preseason game. I think scoring over 100 is what you want. Either way, he's definitely a lock. He's a must-have. The only concern is, I guess with Gold Coast, with the job security. But a player of his ability should easily be able to generate cash if he is playing. He's got that role now, which is what we want. And on to Dempsey, 148,400. Yeah, look, I mean, what more can you say with Dempsey? Had a good preseason game. I'm surprised not many people have selected him. I'm really shocked. I guess the major concern is his job security, so this may potentially be changed. So the players that maybe potentially be changed from this side are probably the bench options here. Manahan, maybe Livingston, Dempsey. They're probably the ones that maybe potentially change depending if Dempsey is playing. If he does get selected. If he does, I'll be keeping him. If he doesn't, then I'll have to figure out another player to bring in. And then we've got Cadman, probably maybe McNeil. He did alright pre-season. But if he does have decent job security, or okay, not the best, he should be able to be playing and generate cash. And Cadman score a couple of goals against reigning premiers Collingwood, which is okay. I mean, 55 is not really the best on paper. But he's got North Melbourne this week, so if he does do he could potentially, get a score of 80 or a 90 or even 100. And that's a concern here. If he does go off, I want my bit of piece of the pie, bit of that cash cow. So that's the reason why he's selected. Again, these are semi pods, and that's the reason why it's a bit of a risk with some of these rookies here, which is probably the major concern with the selection with this side. With the primos, I'm pretty confident. Majority of the players actually did all right last week. In fact, Williams and Sexton were the lowest scoring players, which is a good sign with the players I have selected. Um, Even Naismith, who I did get rid of, or may even still bring in, may still even keep in if he is selected, did all right. So it's the rookies here, which is probably the major concern. The job security, and are they going to generate cash? Have to wait and see this week. I'd rather see one more full week of pre-season, which is why I'm a bit frustrated with the AFL of this round zero, and it's good to see some other players, but it's a bit frustrating because you can't see the whole lot of competition, and then you've got players buys playing some other weeks. You have to cover for them, and it's just frustrating. I believe there might be 18 selected for those weeks, but even then, it's a bit frustrating. Having a player of 600k or 500k off. I guess if it's day cost, everyone has him off, so it's not a big deal. It's just who you're bringing is probably more important rather than having day costs off, for an example. But overall, I'm fairly happy with this side. Like I said, there's a few players I would rather have in. I guess Hurstwade or McEachran. But I just think, I think McEachran hasn't played at all yet, and he didn't do particularly well in the pre-season matches. And Hurstwade did okay. That's only a few matches, and he's playing in a weaker side, so we'll probably get that job security. We'll get some games in, but I think Roberts is a slightly better selection, maybe a tad better job security. It does have that slightly higher score potential from what I've seen. Um, that's just a concern there with that pick. And Sanders is probably a bit slightly better option. Look, it's hit or miss. There's probably a few selections I'll get wrong and have to make a trade like there is usually this year. But I'm confident I have a better start out than the previous other years. Um, yeah, look, overall, what do you think of my side? Do you think, there's any other improvements I need to make? There's other players I need to get rid of. Do I need to get rid of Bonner? I know that's probably the one that people are going to disagree on. Well, thank you for watching.